Well, good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck. It's Friday, August 4th. It's about 6:30 in the morning, and over there is where Paul's been camped. And we're leaving this morning, and he wanted to get an early start, so he was up before sunup and breaking down his camp. And he left about 15 minutes ago, and he lives on the far southeast side of the Metro Phoenix area, so he's got quite a drive ahead of him, and he wanted to get going. So let me give you a quick pan around. We're at Hilltop 91. And there I am. I'm pretty much already picked up myself, actually. I'm just having my, you can see my cup of coffee sitting there on the ledge. And pan the rest of the way around. This is our driveway where we come in. That road used to be real bad. The Forest Service came and fixed it, and it's a lot smoother now, but boy, is it dusty. They had a fire down the road from us. The fire truck's been mopping up on it ever since we've been here, and moving back and forth. Try not to get you into the sun too much. But that's what we look at here. It's a beautiful spot. We like it here. Let me spin you back around. Okay, I can go back over here and sit down, and I wanted to shoot a video. I'm getting ready to leave myself. I got to go over to the other camp and drop off Kevin's radio. I'm shooting this thing into the sun. Sorry about that. I had kind of something interesting happen last night that I thought I'd tell you about while it's fresh in my mind. First of all, last night, and I didn't finish up my video. I started shooting a video yesterday morning, and I didn't finish it up, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to use that. I may or may not. If you see it, it's there, or if you don't, it's not. But it's the guys had a very, very active night on Wednesday night, and so they came over and told us about it from they're at the other camp. We're trying to experiment this time with what we call a split camp, where Kevin and Chris were over at one spot about a mile away from us, and Paul and I were here. Well, it seemed like they tend to draw the action, so they had more action over there. And Paul's new, and he's been out with us a few times, but we're still trying to get him his aha moment, and he's had some stuff happen, and he knows there's something to it, but he hasn't really had what we call his aha moment. I don't know about the sun on this. The sun might be in the wrong spot here. Let's try this. But so we're still trying to get him his absolute aha moment, and I'd hoped we'd get it this trip, but we didn't, and he's a little impatient and probably a little disappointed, and I understand that. It's when you first get started, you really want to know what's going on, and it takes a long time. I told him I didn't have my first sighting. I've been doing this for 6 years before I ever had my first solid sighting. And he's been coming out with us now for less than a year. But anyway, so he's on the road. I'm almost all packed up. I'm just on my second cup of coffee. And but I had something kind of interesting happen early this morning, and figured I'd tell you about it. I had to get up and relieve myself at about 3:20, and all you old guys know about having to get up in the middle of the night and relieve yourselves. And so I did that, and as soon as I got done, as I was getting ready to get back in bed, I felt the van move a little bit. And my first reaction was, that was just me shifting my weight, but it felt a little more than that. And so I went ahead and got in bed, and as soon as I laid down, I heard a metallic click. And I've come to learn that when they're around and when they show up in the van, they make that little metallic click, and it sounds like tapping two screwdrivers together. Basically, I don't know what causes it or how they do it, but I do know that when I hear that click, it usually means they're around. And so I laid back and I said, are you here? I heard that. Are you here? And I got zapped. Not a hard zap, but a solid enough zap. I knew what it was. And so I laid back. I was kind of on my left side, and somehow I felt like I needed to lay over on my back. So I laid over on my back, and when I did that, I started getting it's kind of hard to describe, but I started getting a feeling down in my pelvic floor area. Now, as part of my surgery, I've talked about it before, and that is that in order to start trying to regain control of your bladder, there's a muscle down in your pelvic floor, and you need to work on that muscle. and you need to strengthen that muscle, and you need to train that muscle to take over the sphincter duties to keep yourself from leaking. And you need to, once you train it how to do it, then you got to train it to do it on its own without you thinking about it, so that you don't, you let your mind wander and you start dribbling. So anyway, so after my surgery, I went to a physical therapy session, and the little gal there showed me a bunch of charts and stuff and showed me how those muscle groups work. And then after I got home, I went on YouTube, and sure, the same stuff is there. And so I was pretty familiar with how the musculature is down there. And so when I'm laying there and I get this little muscle contraction, and by golly, it's the correct muscle. It's the one they were telling you that's supposed to tighten up. And so it started getting like almost like a little pulse, and almost like it got a rhythm to it. And it was like ba-dum bump, ba-dum bump, ba-dum bump. And every time that bump would come, that muscle would contract. So as soon as I realized what was happening, I started trying to keep count. And quite frankly, I lost count. This went on for quite a while. I'd say over 30 minutes. And it was just ka-dum bump, ba-dum bump, ba-dum bump. And every time that bump had hit, that muscle would contract. And so I realized, that whoever that was, it was a physical therapy session. And now I asked both verbally and in mind speak, who it was. I never could get anybody to answer me. I somehow got the feeling that it was a female, whoever it was, but I didn't know. And interestingly enough, the presence I could feel was to the right of me. Well, the way I lay in my van with my feet toward the back, the right side is the wall. So how that presence could be there between me and the wall, I don't know, but that was what it felt like. But that went on for quite a while, and then finally it stopped, and then I could feel right about in the area where my prostate used to be, I could feel like little electrical shocks, and it almost felt like maybe somebody's testing the wiring or something. And that went on for just a few minutes, and then just right next to me in the van, and I'm wide awake, laying on my back, and all of a sudden I had this quick vision. Didn't last long, only about 10-15 seconds maybe. There was a very attractive young woman in a brightly colored flowered sundress, human, standing next to me in the van, and she looked down at me and she smiled, and then she disappeared. And I think that was another part of testing the wiring. And I don't know. I have no idea. So a little bit later, after that, then all of a sudden I got another pretty good zap, and the van kind of shuddered a little bit again, and then they were gone. That's simple. Well, how do you describe that? It doesn't make any sense by any modern norms. We've come to believe a lot of stuff since we've been doing this, but I think that I looked at my watch when I got up to relieve myself. It was 3:20 when I laid back down, and this started. I glanced at my watch. It was about 3:30, and after when it was all over with, I glanced at my watch again, and it was 4:20. So it's like a 50-minute physical therapy session is it's the best way I can describe it. Believe whatever you will, as I always tell you. But it was quite interesting. I actually dozed off again and didn't wake up again until about 20 minutes after 5. Paul was already up, and he had his generator running. His generator didn't even wake me up. It's pretty quiet in the van. It's insulated, and a lot of times guys will say they heard stuff during the night, and I didn't hear it because it's like a tomb in there at night. But I got up and kind of helped him fold up his tarps and helped him load up his stuff to get out of here. And now I'm getting ready to have my second cup of coffee, but I figured I'd shoot this quick one and tell you a story about what happened last night. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. Do I know how it happened? No. Couldn't get anybody to talk to me. I couldn't get him, whoever it was, I couldn't get him to mind speak with me, tell me their name or anything. But it was what happened. I was laying there awake, and it was just as real as you and I sitting here, and I can still, in my mind, I can visualize that ta-dump, dump, ta-dump, dump, da-dump, dump. And that muscle down there is sore. Actually, there's a little bit of fatigue there, and it's not doing as good a job this morning as it usually does first thing in the morning. So we'll see how the day goes on that part. But I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm almost ready to get on the road. As I said, I got to go over to the other camp and give Kevin his radio. We had two-way radios so we could talk back and forth, and of course the batteries ran down on those, so that was not a successful thing. Then I'll find out what kind of activity they had over there, and then I got to hit the road and go home. It takes me about, I don't drive real fast on dirt roads, and it takes me about 2 hours to get home from here. It's only about 50 miles, but it's the first 20 of it's pretty slow. So I'll get back with you on another one pretty quick. So this is probably the one for today. Take care of each other, love each other, take care of yourself. It's a beautiful morning around here. I just love it here in the woods in the morning. Our forest friends were here. The guys at the other camp had an absolute dynamite night on Wednesday night, but that's their story to tell. So Paul had a little bit of, he didn't have anything real major happen, but he has some back problems, and they did help him with his pain a bit. Once again, that's his story to tell. So we're looking at the sun. So right now I'm just going to tell you, I'll catch you on another one pretty quick. So peace out.